Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shrimp Tank. We come to you virtually from Seattle, the entire PNW. And again, today we travel down I-5 into the Bay Area to bring in my co-host. If you want to learn how to start, and today we're talking about starting, growing, or running a successful business, this here is the podcast for you. You're in the right place. It's where we say street smarts and book smarts collide. Hello again, everyone. I'm Dan Weedin, and my co-host is Linda Popky down in the Bay Area.
Hi.
Our guest today is Taffy Gallagher. Taffy is an accomplished author, visionary entrepreneur, and marketing guru. Taffy's latest venture, and it's brand new, is Vinland Marketplace, brewing up a storm with Viking Brew coffee, mouth-watering artisan fare, and a treasure trove of global gifts. With a holistic understanding of consumer behavior and a passion for fostering community connections, Taffy's multifaceted journey promises an insightful and inspiring conversation. We aim to uncover the secrets to professional success and personal fulfillment in talking with Taffy today. Taffy Gallagher, welcome. We'll be with you in just a minute. Everyone, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We've told you where we are. We're everywhere. We're at iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Overcast, and YouTube. Linda, I know you like my famous word. What are we?
We are ubiquitous.
Of course, we're ubiquitous. And now open for business, our patron membership, the Shrimp Peelers, offering exclusive content to grow your business and enrich your life. You'll find access to the Shrimp Peelers on our website at shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle. Now, before we bring on Taffy, Linda, hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Dan? What's new in your life?
Well, I'm going to tell you in just a second. I'm going to ask you first. I think last time you were on, you'd had some knee replacement surgery and you were bad. How's the knee doing?
It's not a replacement. It's fixing the original parts.
Oh, you still have the original parts.
Keeping the original parts, yeah, but doing much better. I can walk around and get around and getting back to myself. So happy about that.
You're finding some permanence with the revitalized knee?
Absolutely, yes.
So I'm not going to show it here because that's bad radio for podcasts, but I have a brand new tattoo. It's the 6th that I have. I always take a little bit of a deep breath before we get started because, it's just, there's a little bit of that going, but it was fun. I had, as you know, my grandchildren, the twins, just celebrated their first birthday.
Wow.
And they didn't have any real estate on me. The two others did. So I had to get my twins, the kids on there. The tattoo artist was amazing because instead of having feet like I have for the other two, what we did is I had a picture taken of the twins when they were sleeping once holding hands. It was very, very cute. And so he did that. He created that, put their names by them and all of that. So it's a little bit different. We've got them holding hands. I wasn't going to sit through a tattoo of 4 different feet. I was not into that. So we got that done. It looks great. And, so there's permanence there. But I was also thinking, there's a lot of artistry in tattoos. Anything artistry wise in your world? I know you're a piano player.
Yeah. No, I'm a pianist. And so there's lots of music and artistry around that.
Maybe I can get you to tattoo a piano on your arm or on your fingers.
No
or something.
tattoos. I am permanently untattooed. You can have it. You can have it.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Taffy Gallagher has any tattoos. We may dive into that later, but I do know that there's a lot of artistry in coffee. And we're in Seattle. Linda, you should know we're in the coffee capital of the world. And there's a lot of artistry there. It's as much art as science. Taffy Gallagher, first of all, welcome to the show. You got a whole bunch of things brewing that are brand new. Why don't you tell everybody about your new venture?
Hi, well, thanks for having me. I just bought a company called Viking Brew Coffee in historic downtown Paulsbo. And it is a small coffee stand that has room for maybe 1.5 people inside, which means there's not a lot of space for ice machines and refrigerators for milk. So what we did was we decided to move a couple of doors down and open up, not move, open up 2 doors down another space in order to support that stand. And there's, as you mentioned, a lot of competition in the coffee world here in the Pacific Northwest. And so there are 6 coffee shops in town. We had to figure out how to make it unique. And so what we did was we combined my love of global goods with the coffee shop that we bought, the coffee brand, and have now created a space, a community space, where we can watch a college football game, grab a cup of coffee, and get a gift for a birthday.
That's great. That's fantastic. So, it's kind of like people think about competition's a bad thing, but people know that coffee in Seattle is going to be great. And, yeah, there's those guys with Starbucks, and there's probably Pete's and a couple of the other big ones, Seattle's best. But how do you differentiate yourself? Because I'm sure your coffee is different than all those big guys with all the baristas and everything comes out kind of prepackaged. What's special about your coffee brand?
Well, our coffee brand, first of all, the visual image of our coffee is a Viking, which connects directly to the historic Nordic culture in Poulsbo. But from a coffee standpoint, the original owner, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, he had developed with a local roaster, I believe, the perfect espresso blend. It's this nice medium roast, beans from 4 different countries. And we have a special recipe for pulling all of our shots. And then we hire some of the best baristas in our area so that we are bringing that artistry to the consumer. And they have grown to love it. And upon purchasing it, we didn't change anything about it. And if anything, I'm hoping we have improved that experience.
So I want to go into this whole part of you being recently a business owner, although you have a lot of background in it. A lot of the guests we have, most of them, the regular is they've been in business for a while. And we talk about how they got into business and how their business runs, all of that. Sometimes we get somebody like you, Taffy, who literally just had the grand opening. So there's some recency in your thinking of my question I'm about to ask. What propelled you? What resonated with you? What's in your head said, I want to buy that business, or I want to buy a business, I want to buy that business? Tell us the journey.
The journey. Well, just this specific journey is that we wanted to invest in something. And so we went to the owner of that company and said, hey, let us invest. We will give you money and support, but you go ahead and start this up for us in another area. And the answer was, maybe not. And then, like I said, he did get sick and he did pass away. And in the meantime, we had decided that we could not let this downtown business that is so beloved just fade away. And we also ended up loving the staff. And that was how we decided to do it.
So you've created this new marketplace to go with it. And it's brand new, right? Just been open a couple of weeks, right?
Correct.
What has been one of your biggest ahas, something you didn't expect as you kind of unveiled this whole marketplace idea?
One of the biggest ahas was that perfectionism is my enemy. We just had to get open, and I kept wanting. We went through a lot of renovation. It had been a different kind of. It was a bakery. It was a ramen shop, and so we had to change the entire inside of it. And working with our contractor, his words were always, "You just need to get open." And my response was always, yeah, but the ceiling's not quite right. The caulking isn't quite right. I don't think the sink should go there. And so perfectionism was my enemy. And that was my big aha, was to just let that go and run with it and then react as we need to.
So what, there's always that aha moment comes after some sort of something happened. What was it? So you said perfection. Obviously, that's within you. Maybe you're a perfectionist in life. What caused that aha moment? What was it that finally said, okay, I agree with the contractor. I just got to get open, even if it's not perfect. What was it? Was there a seminal moment?
Yes. A competitor moving in next door.
Okay.
Yep. And a serious competitor who has other locations. So they came in ready to roll. And I recognized that that was the place I needed to be in. The competition forced my hand, and it was a really good thing. It was a really good thing. I couldn't sit in that empty space any longer.
So you've done all, you've set this whole thing up, you've taken over this thing. How did you go about, I'm the marketer, so I want to know, how did you go about letting your audience know that this was still here, even though the other owner had passed, but there was all this new stuff? What did you do to kind of bring people in, and do you feel like it's been successful?
I do feel like it's been successful. We haven't done a lot of marketing outreach. There was a core clientele that has spread the word. We did a little bit of online marketing directly to previous customers. And then we hired a barista who is very good at social media. And we relied on all of those plus passersby, just those people who are walking up and wanting to know what it was. So to be honest, like I said, we haven't done a lot. And that's because probably of my perfectionism and this idea that I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver ever. So at this point, though, we are moving forward in another direction with some more print material, which is where my background lies, and some more outreach to community groups.
So what a lot of people might not know listening to this is that Paulsbo, where you and I both live, in fact, how I got to know you is that I coached your son in high school golf, and all of a sudden it came up that you just bought this, and I said, you've got to be on the show. What people don't know about Paulsbo is it's a tourist place, especially in the summer. A lot of people come in on their boats, they dock their boats, they walk the downtown, historic downtown, as you mentioned. In the winter, not quite as much. There's a lot less foot traffic. There are a lot of coffee shops down there. There is a lot of competition. How do you get? I'm just curious. Is it a friendly competition? Do you get along with the other people? Have you met some of the other folks? Is there any collegiality, or is coffee cutthroat?
I think there's a possibility for it to be cutthroat, but we're in Paulsbo and everyone is friendly. And I know most of the downtown business owners, and we share. We share cups if we need some. If somebody runs out of ice, we're sharing ice. It's a very friendly rivalry among all of us. And so I don't actually see that being a big problem. And we all have our own niche that we fill. When you go for a cup of coffee, you are usually in a mood, and either you want to grab something and walk around, or you want to sit and chat with friends, or you want to sit with your computer and be alone, and maybe your dark and brooding feeling is what you want that time, or you want this industrial feel. Ours happens to be cozy, charming, gives a little beach vibe. So I think we all fill a certain role, and the competition is very friendly.
So do you feel like, it's interesting, I don't know Paulsbo at all, only except through the two of you. Do you feel that that you're getting the people downtown in the summer that you would have maybe pre-pandemic? Are there things you have to do as a group of merchants to help with the downtown?
That's a great question. I haven't joined in on those Paulsbo or the Chamber of Commerce meetings yet, or we have a historic downtown association. I do know that they run special events to get people into town. Last night there was a concert, for example, at the park. And we have various beer runs. I'm thinking about proposing a coffee run or something like that. But the summer foot traffic seems to be back to what it was, if not higher. And then Paulsbo itself is growing as a community. And I'm imagining that our winter traffic is going to be higher than it has been in the past as well.
Well, I love talking coffee because I am a coffee drinker and I've had Viking Brew many, many times. Now I know who's running it, so I may have to make more of those. But right now we got to take a short commercial break to hear from today's spotlight sponsor. And when we come back with our guest, Taffy Gallagher, for a hot or not section of the show, we're going to literally ask her if something is hot or not and which way is better. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. Does this sound like you? I'd love to write a book, but I just don't have the time. In fact, I'm not even sure where to start. Maybe you have a compelling story to share or valuable advice for clients and prospects. If only you could get that story out of your head and into a published format. Think you don't have time to write a book? Think you aren't a good enough writer to get your message across? Think this all sounds too overwhelming? Well, think again. At Leverage to Market Associates, we help aspiring authors transform that long-stuck book idea into an attractive published work. If you've written most of your book, we can help edit your work and drive it through the production process. If you're not sure where to start, we'll coach you through the creative process to organize your thoughts and create a compelling book outline. And if you're just not comfortable writing a book yourself, we can ghostwrite it for you. Contact Leverage to Market Associates for complimentary evaluation of your nonfiction book concept today and bring your book to life.
Sorry, I was on mute. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm Linda Popky. Our guest today is Taffy Gallagher, and our next segment, perfect for a coffee entrepreneur, is Hot or Not.
And Taffy, we're going to pepper you. Linda and I are going to pepper you with questions about business, about work, about coffee, about a whole bunch of things. And then you're going to tell us whether it's hot or not, and then why or why not. I'm gonna throw one out to you that I don't know if it's an easy one for you or not. I'm going to ask you which one is hotter, hot or iced coffee?
Iced coffee. Very, very hot right now. Yes. We sell more.
Don't you just drink it
drinks.
too fast? See, that's my problem. I drink it too fast.
Yes. Ask for light ice or get a bigger one.
Get a bigger one.
Or buy more. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, get more.
Go back and buy more.
Yes.
Okay, so what now? There's so many different types of iced coffee. There's the nitro brews and there's the, this and the that and whatever. So how do you keep them all straight? I mean, how does, as a entrepreneur, but also me as a customer, I'm just lost with all the varieties.
Oh, interesting. So yes, cold brew is one of our specialties. You steep it for about 18, ours is about 18 hours overnight, and it comes out this very smooth, flavorful coffee that you don't need ice with. You don't need milk or sugar with it. It's pretty incredible. It's usually served over ice, and you can get a flavor in it, and you can add your own milk if you would like. So then nitro is adding that nitrogen to it and giving you that keg experience. What else do we have? Iced Americanos. Any drink you get normally hot can be made iced.
All right, Taffy, hot or not, selling merchandise is part of the overall coffee experience.
That I am going to have to come back to you on. We're so fresh right now that I'm not sure if that's a good idea or not, but it's something we enjoy. And the staff seems to really like it. It's something else to do, something else to be interested in if you aren't serving a lot of coffee at the moment.
Okay, so I got to ask you, I know you have 2 high school age sons. They play golf with a certain host here of the Shrimp Tank, right? Hot or not, getting them involved in the business or kind of leaving them to the side?
Not. That is a not.
They probably there's probably an issue with product going out, getting going out the door maybe with them, right?
Consumed, yes.
Consumed, yes.
Their friends are really wonderful, but those kids that I have, they're actually really busy. One of them is has a summer job, and the other one likes to go around the corner to the skate shop a lot. And he's not of working age anyway. So
So, I want to go, I'm going to jump off of hot or not for just a little bit, because I want to go back into your own personal history. I mean, you gave us kind of the journey from the moment that you said, yeah, we like the coffee place, let's invest. Owner gets sick, you have a situation where you can buy it. Go back before that. Have you owned businesses before? Tell us a little bit about your background and, what kind of brought that entrepreneurial spirit on?
We'll go way back to my 16th birthday. I started working at Safeway packing strawberries on my 16th birthday, and enjoyed actually getting up and having a purpose every day. Went off to college, worked in childcare in college, and then out of college, I got a job at a startup, a tech startup. And this would have been mid 90s actually. And I can remember this moment where I was sitting at my desk, which was near the copy machine, and there was some fumbling around at the copy machine. The CEO happened to walk by and said, "What's the problem here?" And the guy who was working at the copy machine said, "Looks like there's no paper. Who puts the paper in the copy machine?" The CEO turned around, went to the cupboard, grabbed a ream of paper and said, "Everybody does. This is a startup." And I said to myself, I love this place. I love startups. I love doing something new. And I love when everybody is responsible for all of it. And that was the beginning of that journey. I continued to work for other startups along the way, focusing on marketing in the end. And then I spun off and did my own consulting marketing, where I worked predominantly with nonprofits and some small businesses. And after that, got my master's degree in teaching, taught at the elementary schools in the area for a while, and realized that I needed to somehow combine my love of community and my love of starting something new.
Wow. So it's a journey. Everything's kind of coming together. So given your love of community and your love of marketing, etc., hot or not, getting involved in like events and creating kind of things that are happening, kind of a calendar of things that are being featured. Is that something that you see happening a lot more?
Yes, I think that is hot. One of the tricks is finding all of the information, which groups are running which events and when are those happening? And is there any way to get involved, or is that something we just stay on the periphery for? I think it's fantastic. And I also believe that not to give anything away, but we are going to start working on that side of it as well. See if there's something we can do to start bringing people in with regard to events.
So speaking of events, I was on your website, and on the /event calendar, you have, again, you mentioned this a little bit, you have viewings, sporting events. Yes. I mean, you have it all listed down through the summer. And I think in the beginning, you mentioned that you're just a couple doors down from the corner coffee shop, that this is an opportunity for people to grab a coffee and then go sit with friends and watch events. Talk a little bit about that space.
So there aren't a lot of spaces in our town that offer a couple of things. One is grab and go food, which is what we have. So you come in on your boat and you just want a sandwich, you come grab it and go back to your boat. The other thing that we don't have a lot of is family-friendly locations for watching a game. And we put in 2 TVs. I think we're going to upsize those TVs here pretty soon, so that we're ready for college football season, so that we're ready when the weather turns and people come inside. Wimbledon is on. I don't know if it's over, but it's been on all week. We had the All-Star game on last night. And so we are prepared to be that family-friendly space that you can watch a game at.
So you kind of created the sports coffee bar.
I guess we have.
Okay. All right. So hot or not, we talked a little bit about competition, but lots of coffee around the Seattle area. Hot or not, being in a market that everybody knows about, and there's lots of people going on.
Hot. There's not a lot of education that we have to do anymore. tourists are the only ones who come in and they're looking for that coffee culture. They are in the birthplace of the specialty coffee revolution. They're happy when they see one of the baristas pour a tulip or a heart in their latte and give them that beautiful artistry. Anybody else who doesn't need that education, they are looking specifically at what we're providing, and that's really fun.
So now you're the boss. You're the one, like your first boss, putting the paper in the copy machine. That's so 1990s, by the way. I don't think we have to do that anymore. But you're now the boss. And I remember having a client who owned a bakery, and I think he arrived like at 4 a.m. to get baking at 5 and all that. You are specifically kind of a morning business as well. There's at some point you're going to open up. Maybe it's not 5 a.m, but it's going to be early. How much are you active? I mean, is the alarm in your bedroom going off really early? Are you out the door? How much is Taffy doing as far as the operations?
I'm very involved, much to the dismay of our manager at times, because I get in the way, right? The whole managing versus being creative and entrepreneurial, and that can be tricky. That's a tricky balance, but I'm there almost every day for many hours throughout the day. Before we went down this path, we thought we might. So I took a week-long course in Renton with the Seattle Barista Academy and learned how to be a barista. I had never done it before. So I fill in from time to time if somebody's sick. Yeah, I'm there a lot.
So tell me about the Seattle Barista Academy. That sounds so Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that exists anyplace else. What do you learn besides, do they teach you how to do the tulips and the flowers and the hearts?
They do teach you, but it takes a lot of experience to get that down. It was a week-long course that you learn about the history of coffee, you taste coffee, you understand what makes good coffee, you understand the difference between specialty coffee and non-specialty, and then you practice, and then you visit other coffee shops around the area that help to give specialty coffee a name in the business in the Pacific Northwest. Then you learn some of the business side of it. So it was very useful.
So since you're drinking all that coffee for a week, you probably don't sleep for,
I actually learned that you can spit it out. You don't have to swallow it when you're tasting it.
It's like wine. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with that. I don't know. I don't. There's something wrong with spitting out good coffee. But Linda's question, Taffy, made me just think of something. I think that there is probably a misconception of the average person that anybody can be a barista, that staffing should be easy. You're just going to, just like a kid might go to McDonald's, at least back in my day, and work at McDonald's. All you got to do is find somebody, pull them off the street, show them how to make a cup of coffee, and that's it. I don't think there's anything that can be further from the truth, is that barista is an artist, right? And I got to believe with so many coffee shops, let's just say in Paulsbo, much less what happens in the whole county. How is staffing for you? Is it hard to find baristas? Is that a competitive thing as well? Talk a little bit about, from an ownership perspective, what you have to do when it comes to staffing.
Well, first, the baristas must have tattoos. I'm not sure if you've ever looked, but I'm looking at your arms right now and I'm thinking, might be qualified. Exactly. So yes, they have a very creative side, the way they dress, the way they present themselves, and many of them have coffee beans and coffee plants tattooed on their arms. And that speaks to their commitment to the artistry of specialty coffee. And so it does take several years to get good. And as far as staffing is concerned, thankfully, there are a lot of baristas out there. The competition comes in with pay, with the clientele. Sometimes people really want that fast pace. Some people want the slower, more artisan feel. And so we haven't had any trouble right now to staff our both locations.
Well, Linda, I've had this brainstorm now. I don't know how Barb is going to like this, but I've got the requisite tattoos. I'm going to quit everything. I'm going to go to the Seattle Barista Academy. I'm going to learn how to be a barista, and that's how I'm going to live the rest. I'm going to just be a barista. And I already know somebody who might be hiring, so I think it's all set.
There you go. I have this feeling though you're going to want to go do it a couple of times. Just
I might be a problem for the product, the consumption of the product as well. That could be an issue. Well, what's not an issue is thanking our corporate sponsors. We're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back with our guest, Taffy Gallagher, for our Plead the Fifth section of the show, we're going to find out what she thinks of the word impossible. Don't walk away. We'll be right back with more of the Shrimp Tank. And Plead the Fifth is brought to you by our corporate sponsors, Ideal Life 360, Cornerstone Financial, First Underwriters Insurance, BC Fitness Studio, Port Ludlow Resort, and Upstart Group. Please visit our website at www.shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle to learn more about these terrific companies. Now back to the show.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, where we interview the best and brightest CEOs and business thought leaders in the greater Puget Sound area and beyond. I'm co-host Linda Popky. Our guest today is Taffy Gallagher, and our next segment is Plead the Fifth.
We're turning up the heat on the coffee, Taffy. We're gonna start throwing a little bit harder questions at you. You can plead the fifth. If you don't want to answer one, you can plead the fifth, but you can only do it once. And after that, the gloves come off. So we're always kind of wondering with entrepreneurs. Give me what your immediate reaction to the word impossible is.
Every problem has a solution. I firmly believe that every problem has a solution. You just might not be looking at it the right way, or you need someone else to help you look at it with you. Yeah.
Cool. And I was thinking Impossible Burgers because it's lunchtime. All right. So what is it that keeps you up at night besides the coffee? What is it that you think about at night?
I think about our staff. This is an industry that I've had zero experience in. I desperately want our staff to be fulfilled in their jobs. And that is what keeps me up at night. How do I get the customers in the door? How do I get a bigger sink so that their job is a little bit easier? How do I fill that shift so that they can go on vacation with their family? Those are the things that keep me up at night, is keeping our staff fulfilled and wanting to come to work every day.
So plead the fifth. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and you're learning a lot about what you don't know very early on. So near into it. Linda may have asked this a little bit, but I'm curious. What's the biggest? I didn't know that. What's the biggest? I don't know that you do know now.
All of the health department restrictions.
Okay.
I had no idea what that was all about. And, it doesn't take it takes a lot of time to go through all of the details, but once you have a handle on it, you can remember that the temperature for cold holding is 41 and it's 165 for hot. Those are those details that I'd never had to know before. Yep.
So we've talked about kind of your journey and where you've gone through so many different things to get here. If you could go back in time and give advice to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Wow. That's a really hard question. I would tell my 18-year-old self to remember to have fun when you're young, but to balance it with your education and maybe stay in school a little bit longer. I think that getting my master's degree in my early 40s was a great growth opportunity for me. But knowing what I know now, staying in school a little bit longer would have been a wise thing to do.
So Taffy, we can all be our worst critics. In fact, I'll often tell people that we entrepreneurs often quit a boss to go to work for a worse one. So we can sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Plead the fifth. Share with us something that, as a new entrepreneur, and you can't use perfectionism because you've used that one. Something that you struggle with.
I struggle with letting staff do the job that they were trained to do. I struggle with seeing something and not wanting to change it immediately. Those I think will be my downfall if I don't correct those behaviors soon. Walking into the store and thinking, this song is not a very good song, we shouldn't have this song playing, and then doing something about it. I'm learning quickly to let it all happen and see what comes of it. Yes.
Well, I'm going to say this before Linda asks for credit. For you to figure that out so early on, kudos to you, because it's hard to do, you know, and for you to identify that so early on, I have no doubt you're going to be able to do it well.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you something totally different. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, and you could pick a couple of people, who would they be and what would you be asking them?
I think that I would like to have dinner with, so many names come to mind, dead or alive. Maybe Harriet Tubman. I think I'd like to know firsthand her experiences. I think I'd really like to know directly from her, not from interpretations of events, what life was really like. I don't know if we'd want to talk about any progress that's been made, but that is, you know, Rosa Parks, that would be another one. Those two historical figures would be fascinating to get their direct firsthand experience from.
Over a cup of coffee, right?
Absolutely.
So, you know, one thing we actually haven't talked at all about is how social media impacts, what I'll say, retail business, which you're in the retail business, but especially in the food business, because people are always taking selfies. There's food porn, right? There's the probably coffee porn and all of that, and they're done. And if they love it, it's one thing, and maybe they've had a bad experience, it's another. It's all over social media. How are you dealing with that? Do you feel like you've got thick enough skin in case some of the things that you might not like to see come through? Talk a little bit about being in the retail food business with social media.
Well, firstly, I have an excellent social media campaign manager, coordinator, and so she kind of filters some of that for us. Secondly, the staff I think everyone is probably under 30. So they are very familiar with this world, and they teach me something new every single day about how to react. What does that mean? And leaning on them for that information has been very helpful. But also, it's front of mind for them. So they are reacting to customers in a way that is going to usually bring a positive outcome. They are very focused on the work that they are providing to the customer. So anyone who can do latte art, which is pretty much every barista, they're presenting things well, they're delivering drinks with the understanding that this might get photographed. And so presentation is very important to them. So luckily for now, we haven't had any issues with that.
That's fantastic. That's great. You have the digital natives in there that are that are doing those things. So I want to ask you, you know, again, you're busy and you're doing a lot of stuff, but the Emmys came out today, which is the TV Awards.
Oh.
What's been your favorite show? If you've got any time to watch TV, what have you been binge watching? Succession and White Lotus, and Ted Lasso got a lot of nominations. Are you watching that kind of stuff or something different?
Well, I've heard of all of those, but I haven't actually seen those. I'm a little behind the time. The last show I binge watched was Ozark, and I loved it, start to finish. Really impressed. And then I'm kind of a PBS nerd, and I love the British murder mysteries, and so Endeavour is one that I have recently watched the final season of. So that's usually what I'm watching.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, Taffy, thank you so much for being our guest here on the Shrimp Tank. For people who want to get in touch with you, learn more about how they can get that coffee with those great designs and the marketplace, and come watch a sports event, how can they get more information?
Well, both of our brands are available, or you can find them on Instagram, Viking Brew Coffee and Vinland Marketplace. And then they each have websites as well. So added.com and you'll be there.
Okay. And so once you've done that, make sure you also check out all of our replays on shrimptankpodcast.com/Seattle and wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, because damn, we are
ubiquitous.
And then follow us, because we don't have pretty pictures of latte art, but we do have lots of cool stuff on our social media pages on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Well, Taffy, first of all, thank you very much. I know I'll see you on around golf courses for the next several years. However, you're also going to see me, you're going to bump into me at Viking Brew. I'm going to go down and get a coffee again, and hopefully I'll see you there. Linda, as always, great to see you, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Everybody else, don't forget to do what Linda said. Like us on our Facebook page. We live stream every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific. We're going to do that again next Wednesday, July 19th. Our guest will be Rick Morton from Jostens. If you're familiar with school pictures or gifts and things like that, he's a local Jostens representative, and he's going to talk about that business that he's created with his wife. Co-host for that show will be Monica Blackwood. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and be prosperous. And of course, drink lots of coffee, because until next week, the shrimp is back in the tank. So long.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond.